Hi everybody, and welcome to the OMNICULTURALTVFEST PreShow. Thank you guys for joining us on our weekly platform to showcase our selections for the next Omnicultural TV Fest event. On today's show, we want to welcome one of our selections, Rosie, by Destry Allyn Spielberg. It's her directorial debut, and I'm sure her dad, Steven Spielberg, is going to be beaming with pride. And now, here's our founder, Kiki Melendez.
And action. Oh my God, I just love to start the shows with music. What do you think?
Yes, it's the best. You have to.
How are you doing, honey, with this pandemic?
Oh, I'm good. I'm as good as it can get, I feel like. You just have to power through it.
Well, Omnicultural TV Fest introduces one of our selections, which is Destry Allyn Spielberg and her short, Rosie. What a beautiful project you gave us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how excited I was to get the
Now, tell me a little bit about what you're doing during these pandemic times. I mean, as an emerging producer, you're creating and you're like sitting at home and you can't go anywhere.
I'm trying my best to stay as focused as possible. I've just kind of made, a little promise myself that I'm going to put 2 hours of creative work in every day. I mean, obviously not every day I put it in. I try my best, but, I realized that because I'm also a writer.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been writing just nonstop. And like my goal at the end of this was to have, a couple projects to then be ready so that once this is all over and productions start picking up again and, people start wanting to see projects, I have, a couple that are fresh off the press, ready to go.
Awesome. So tell me about the selection that we have here at Omni, Rosie. What inspired you? What was the inspiration behind that story?
Rosie was something that was more of a personal story in a sense. There was a point in my life where I was really confused about my sexuality. Mm-hmm. And I realized that like the first female that I had ever been with kind of was the first person I actually loved.
Yeah.
And growing up, it kind of felt like I didn't really figure that out until I was older. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Why haven't I been able to explore other women? And I think it was mainly because it was like, I couldn't see myself with anyone else in terms of the same sex. And so I went through a period of, I don't really know, like, what am I? And then, started to kind of figure it out, that I am bisexual.
Every child, every teenager is going through that.
And that's why I wanted to make Rosie, because I feel like there's, a large amount of people who know that they might have feelings towards the same sex, but don't feel like they can almost admit it.
Yeah.
Like they let it happen. They do a fun sort of like, oh, I'm going to, kiss the same sex and it's no big deal. But then, it actually ends up hurting that other person because they already know where they are.
Right.
Or not. But, it's kind of like there's sort of a wall up, or like some people put a guard up when they're exploring because they're not yet ready to basically admit that they are exploring. And so I wanted this short to express that concern that I have with society, that there's a large group of people who feel that, oh, well, I have to marry a man because as a woman, because it's what my parents want.
Yeah.
My family likes him. It's easy. He's got a job. We're in the same, realm, whatever it is. And then, there's sort of that moment where you start to question yourself, and then you start to lie to yourself, and then you start to believe, okay, well, here's why I have to be with, a male.
Yeah. And how did you come to, like, what did you realize? You realized you were bisexual? You realized you are heterosexual?
I realized that because I'm currently dating a man and don't see myself right now with anyone else. And
congratulations.
So, thank you. And so there's sort of like that, he knows that that I'm attracted to women, and,
I'm sure he loves that. My husband loved that when I told him once that I was attracted to a woman. He was like, oh my God, can you bring her over? What does she look like?
I know, and it's like, no, that's not how this works. But it's sort of come to the point where I've realized that I just fall in love with people.
I think that's the new generation. I mean, Brokeback Mountain pretty much put it in our face,
Yeah.
And it really is, because we are biologically, made to love and to feel comfort with another human.
Right.
And so it's not something unnatural. We've made it unnatural, but it's really not.
Right? I wanted Rosie to hopefully speak out to people who aren't vocal about maybe how they're feeling. And I also wanted them to see how it could have felt to Rosie, who is and comfortable with her sexuality, knows exactly what she wants, and then to fall in love with a girl who claims that, she's okay with it, and then doesn't go her way. So I think it's to show, like, okay, well, if you lie to yourself, you can also end up hurting others.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's really great about the courage you had to do this project is that you're letting other people see that it's not just them, and you're really helping to comfort people that are lost and that don't know what to do, and that are afraid of telling their parents how they feel. So it is an incredibly courageous project, and we were very touched by it. It was a beautiful story. Love the locations, girl.
Oh my God. That was a hassle to get.
What happened? Oh my God, you have beach property and
it was well, first of all, it wasn't even supposed to film in LA. It was based originally on the East Coast.
Wow.
So that was a huge conversation, because my DP and his whole crew, they were all here. And so with our budget, we're like, okay, well, is it realistic to fly everybody out, rent an Airbnb?
Oh my God.
And looking at that now, I think, that was a good choice not to do that, because we would have no money left. I mean, for a first-time director, we were lucky enough to have somebody who believed in us, and they gave us a good budget of, $50,000, which for a short film was great.
Wow.
But
obviously, yeah.
You don't realize that $50,000 can go really quick.
In 2 days.
In 2 days.
Yeah.
And it also kind of was sort of it became a subject that I was really strict on. I was like, here's the budget. This is what we need to budget. There is no room for error. If we want to have post-production money, then we cannot fuck this up.
Exactly.
And so that was sort of a wishy-washy, oh, I think this, but I think this, and sort of there wasn't really the communication wasn't there. So we ended up going over budget, which is so common. And I was like, this doesn't happen. What is, I can't pay. What is happening? I'm having to pay for post-production with my own money.
Oh my God, girl, I've done that 100 times.
I'm like, there goes my savings.
Yeah, that is the hardest part about being an independent producer. It's all on you. You have to deliver.
I didn't want to be paid. So everybody on set, everybody was paid. And, I had the option to be paid as a director. And I was like, no, I'm not going to get paid.
Welcome to my world, girl. Welcome to my world.
That $5,000 should 100% go to post-production. Save that, put it in the bank. But I think one thing about being a first-time director in sort of learning about money in the film industry, learning about what everybody does specifically, and being a person where I need to know what is going on with everything. I need to know if this is right. I need to know if this is happening. I had to, for my own sake, be in communication with everybody. And I think that's normal as a director is, you kind of, you look over everyone. I mean, you're directing, you're directing the movie, but I also think post-production is so important because you have to make sure that everything is like on time, everything is going the way that you know, you visualize it in terms of, you know, money,
yes,
color, like everything.
right.
And so post-production, I was actually working on set of West Side Story that summer. So I was working in props. So I'm running around with like shit in my hands. I'm getting phone calls about my movie. Like I'm having to like, I kind of felt like a boss. So I was like doing so
fun,
much.
right? It's fun.
But I've never been more stressed in my life because it was, I'm working, you know, a 14-hour job every day. And I'm also having to take calls, and I'm also having to do, you know, editing over basically Zoom because I wasn't in LA at the time. So it was a lot, but I think that it made me a stronger person. And I think that I'm really glad that a lot of stuff went downhill because
it made you realize what to do. Now, you grew up with your father, Steven Spielberg, on the set of the most iconic blockbuster movies. Like, what is that like?
It's kind of, it felt just like second nature because you grow up on set, literally. Like I went to like 6 different schools at one point because, you know, we're traveling. Like we lived in England for, you know, 8 months, and I had to go to school in England. And then, you know, we lived in Germany, and I was like, I'm going to learn German. And then I get there and everyone speaks English. I'm like, cool. So it was I think in a sense, it's a blessing because I was able to be there and watch the magic happen and learn, but unconsciously. Because at that time growing up, that's not what I wanted to do. So I was just like, you know, sitting and watching, you know, and I noticed that I'd see things on the camera, like on the monitor, that I would disagree with.
Oh,
and
you're kidding.
Obviously, I keep my mouth shut.
You never told Daddy? You never told him?
Well, I did.
Did he ever listen to you?
Yeah, actually. It was the first time that I actually spoke up, only because he asked me. And it was after I'd done Rosie, so I think it was kind of like, you know, he knew that I was in that zone of like, he knows how that feels. When you finish a movie, you so badly want to do something else.
Right.
So, you know, there were a couple of times on West Side Story where I would watch and then I wouldn't even mean to make a face, but I'd be like, and then he'd be like,
what's wrong?
No, he'd be like, what do you think? And then I'd be like, I don't know. And I basically tell him like what I thought. And then the first couple of times he would not say anything. And then he would do it. And then, you know, I'd be like, okay, well, you know, he doesn't need to credit me. It's fine. And the third time I did it, he was like, and that was Destry's idea. And I was like,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
He told me going into Rosie's that you need the biggest, I was like, well, do you have any advice? And he was like, my biggest advice is listen to everybody around you. If they have ideas, always listen to them because you never know. And also you want to make sure that everybody feels like they can have a part in the making.
And that's why his movies are so great, because when you have that attitude of people being able to be creative and open and share.
You should never be afraid to ask or have an idea.
But I also know something that nobody else knows, that you almost went to the Olympics for equestrian horse riding.
I started showing when I was 4. And from then on, it was like, that was my whole life. And so at first, basically, what you would say the Junior Olympics would be, we call it Young Riders. And so I was training for that. And and I dropped out of college to pursue that career because college and riding, I just could not balance it out. And so about a half a year into not being in college and, you know, really putting my all into my career, it was 3 weeks before the Young Rider trial. And my horse at the time was struggling with basically the bit that goes in their mouth. And so what happened was he took off from the jump, like way too far away, and ended up hitting the back of the oxer, which is like these 2 like little poles or big poles. and hit it and tripped on the way down. And so I'm like, okay, we're both gonna flip. It's gonna happen. You learn that you have to like fall a certain way. And so I was like, here we go. But what happened was that when I was mid-fall, he stood up. And so I ended up facing the sky. And now, and by the way, this happens within milliseconds. Like it feels like it's all in slow motion, but it's so fast. And you're falling off a horse. You know, it's dangerous. So what happened was I fell on my hip. And then on my back. And so I ended up getting a herniated disc.
Oh my God.
And a pinched disc. And then 2 lumbar sprains. And me being like, I'm tough. It's fine. I get up. I'm going to go get on my other horse to then ride in the exact same class. And my adrenaline's up, so I don't feel anything. I'm like, okay, we're good. We're fine. And so I go in the next horse, and I honestly think it was a sign from the universe because a chain on his bridle broke, and you can't ride without it. And so I had to, like, tip my hat to, like, the stands to be, like, just qualifying myself. And the next morning, I could not stand up. Wow. I was like, my trainer came in to like ask me if I'm ready, and I was like mid-pant pull-up. I'm like, I can't get my pants on. I think something's wrong.
Pain.
That was horrible. So then after that, I went home and I went to my, my doctor, and then, she advised me that I should stop riding, and I was like, no. So then I was like, Advil. Like I went to the next show and I got on, and it hurt a lot, but I toughened it out. And then, the end of that day, I went home to the hotel because it was somewhere else, the horse show. And I ended up getting a fever of 104, like within 30 minutes. Like the universe, I swear to God, was like, do not get on. Like you're sick. You were sick. You're not riding. Wow. I was sick. I'm not even kidding. I was sick from the day that I got there to the day that I would have then gone back home. Wow. And then that day that I would go home, I was like, bing, completely fine.
Wow.
It was so crazy. So after that, it was hard because at that point, I was like, all right, well, I really should give my body a rest. And that was a hard decision. And it kind of took me down a road where I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have other options. This was my life.
Yeah.
And I was definitely afraid to go into the business of entertainment because of who I am, and because my whole life I just did not want people assuming that I did things because of my name.
You should really feel proud of your name. Your father loved every ethnic group. He told our stories. He created a legacy for you and for the rest of you. Always be proud of it. Don't ever care about what people think about that, because you should be super proud of it, and you deserve it, and you've done your own way. You've made your own way. So don't ever feel that way. Don't care what people think, because people are going to think something no matter what.
That's later down the road I realized that, but it was kind of more of like I wanted to make a name for myself, and I didn't want to take the easier, because I was auditioning for 4 years with a different last name, with my middle name. And so, I was okay with that, because if I didn't get a part, at least I knew I didn't get it because of that.
Yeah.
Right. And so, everybody fought, like my agents fought me on it. Like, my managers fought me on it. They were all like, no, you need to use it. It'll help you. And I kept saying, no, if that's going to get me a job, then this is not the industry for me. Like, it's sort of like, well, if I'm not good enough to get it without my name, then why am I here? So it kind of became, a back and forth. And then when I made Rosie, I realized that I didn't need to hide, because I knew that I did it myself, that I actually put work into it, and I actually made it myself.
You produced it.
And by the way, no one thought I could do it. Like, no one believed in me. I swear to God, like the day that I flew to LA, like, people were on my ass. They're like, you need to go back to New York. You need to go back to work, blah, 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 all these things. And it was kind of like, I don't want to say I rebelled against, like, people telling me what to do. But in terms of like logistics, I think that nobody thought I could do it because they never knew me like this. You know, they only knew me as a horse, you know, that was my other career. So they're like, well, you know, she's going to go into this and blah, blah. And then the day that I started filming, one of my parents' assistants came to the set like drenched in sweat. And I was like, hi, what are you doing? He's like, I have flowers and like popcorn that my parents bought me, because it was kind of like it got to the point where it was like, all right, well, here's the proof. It's happening. Okay, go. Here you go.
How are your parents with the film? Are they really proud of you?
When I showed it to them the first time, it was like kind of the greatest feeling, because it was like after it ended, it was silent. And I knew that it was like they had been taken back. Like, oh, whoa, okay. My parents are honest. Like, I would show them my audition tapes. Like, I would show them anything. Like, they would never tell me, oh, it's great. Like,
yeah,
no, like they're dead. Like, my dad one time was like, you should do that again. Like, they're like, which is great, because it would suck if they were like too encouraging.
Exactly. If they were just saying great,
right.
Just, yeah.
And so hearing their feedback was like incredible, because I knew that it was real. And when you know, my dad, the greatest compliment he gave me, he said, you know, Destry, I watch a lot of student films, because you know, that's what I do. I watch you know, I watch a lot of student films. And he said, but this did not look like a student film.
I was impressed when we watched it over at OMNICULTURALTVFEST. We're like, oh my God, we hope it's good, because we can't turn Destry down. But we have integrity in our film festival, and it's like we really want to make sure that when the industry comes to see the projects, they feel like they didn't waste 15 minutes of their time. You know? You got a 5-star festival, girl. 5 stars.
Yeah, seriously, it was so exciting. I was like, oh my God.
And isn't it funny? It's going to be at the Directors Guild of America, which is
I have no idea. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is so great. Like this is so exciting, because like,
I can't wait for that day. I can't wait for the day. We just have to. We want to wait until it's safe.
Honestly, take your time.
You have to take your time.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, this is why we're doing the pre-show, because then people get to see clips of your work, and now they know who the filmmakers are that have been selected. And believe me, we had hundreds of submissions. We only selected 60 filmmakers. So now everyone gets to see who these people are and what the passion behind the work is. Right. How do you think it is out there for emerging producers, especially females?
It's a good thing and it's a bad thing right now. Because there's sort of this, oh, well, it would be great to have a female director.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's a woman, and because there's so much talk on like there's not enough. But in reality, it's like, I don't want to just be picked because I'm a woman. I want people to believe. I want people to say, what do you have for me? Can I see what you're working on?
I'm a Latina, and I hate it's like, oh, Latina, we're picking you because
exactly. It feels like, I don't want to say it's like a pity pick, but it's kind of like it's too calculated.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I want people to want to work with me because they know that I'm talented. They want me. It doesn't matter if the subject is about women. Like, I don't, you know, it's like, I feel like people need to give us a chance instead of looking at us as like, oh, well, this will be good for press.
Right.
You know, oh, you know, we're a production company, and like, this is how many male directors we've had. This is how many like, you know, Latino Black directors we have. This is how many female. So if we have this, you know, it doesn't feel fair. You know, not fair.
Absolutely.
But
we're so divided, racially divided, gender divided in this country. It's just so much division going on, and it's like,
and it's not. It doesn't feel rewarding when a female director is picked, because there's a sense of like, well, why was she really picked? Was she picked because they wanted her because of her talent, or was she picked because she's a woman? And that's where it's like, give us a chance. Don't look at us as like, oh, you know, she can do this. We'll have her do it, blah, blah, blah. I just wish that it wouldn't be such a political game.
Yeah. Is there something that you're doing or a story that
oh my God, there's
inspires you, you know?
Oh, 100%. There's one that I still haven't started. I haven't written it yet because I'm working on another one. But it's like a dark comedy. It's like The Lobster meets like Black Swan. It's like really effed up. So it's something that would be like a big budget.
Mm-hmm.
And it would take place in England. So it's something that I want to take my time on it, but it would be so exciting if it came true.
Hey, before you go, I have a surprise for you.
Destry, surprise, hi. I wanted to pop in and say how cool I think it is that two of my close friends are collaborating on a film festival together. What? Anyways, everyone is going to be extremely fortunate to see Rosie because it is such a beautiful film. It is so well executed from the writing to the directing to the acting. And that's what you are, a true triple threat, writer, director, actor, all the way around. I'm excited for us to collaborate on our first project together. I know we got a few of those in the works. It'll be fun. Miss you. So happy for you. And I will see you soon.
Thank you. My name is Destry Allyn Spielberg, and I would love for you to join us at the OMNICULTURALTVFEST coming soon to come see my short Rosie.
Thank you so much, Destry Allyn Spielberg, for being part of OMNICULTURALTVFEST PreShow.